I send a flare and you're here in a flash. When I ask, oh dear love, where did we come from? You say that like the sun. I had the will and mission, but the wrong position. I was open, praying for a sign, until I found a lighthouse in your heart.
Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we're updating my guide for Gley. Now, I haven't posted a Gley build video in like, I think 8 months. So we've got a lot to talk about. A lot has changed with her, not only with her most recent buffs, but also with all of the new additions to the game. Hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. We're going to be going deep with a bunch of her different kind of build styles. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's do this. So the first build we're going to be talking about is her weapon platform build. This build is just focused on using guns on Gley. That is the build that I'm rocking on her 90% of the time. That's where she really shines, is her ability to grant herself a ton of gun buffs and infinite ammo. Now, the big change with this build, because all of the mods are staying the same, besides her Transcendent module, we used to use Massive Sanguification as her Transcendent module, but they've recently massively buffed Predator Instinct, which now gives her a even larger buff when she's in her like one state and when you start firing your gun. So Predator Instinct is kind of a no-brainer for her gun build now. We used to not use this because it was pretty buggy on weapons that weren't like full auto, but now it's basically just like an always use. So Predator Instinct is the only real replacement. And then for the rest of the mods, we're rocking increased HP and Stim Accelerant. Gley is an HP-focused Descendant. She uses HP to cast her abilities. We want to get really tanky via HP on her. So 2 HP mods. Then we're rocking MP Conversion and Nimble Fingers to get her cooldown really low. We want 100% uptime on her third ability. Right now, we've got a 9.8 second cooldown with a 9.7 second duration. As long as these are like pretty close to each other, within like 0.5, they'll loop. So this gives us a 100% uptime of her like infinite ammo loop, which is really, really nice. And then we're going to be using skill extension and maximize duration for the increased duration of her third ability. Maximize duration is perfect here because we don't care about skill power modifier. We're not dealing ability damage with her. And then we rock shot focus for more gun damage. Accelerated drive shaft is really nice quality of life. It's a ton of fire rate on a chance when you roll, and you're just going to be rolling naturally in gameplay. So when you get this proc, you get a ton of extra damage for a little bit, which is nice. And then lastly, we rock HP Collector so that whenever we kill an enemy on a 2-second cooldown, we're going to get life back. This allows her to stay topped up and makes it so that you never run into the scenario where you like can't cast one of her abilities because your life is too low. For weapons on Gley, there's a lot of options. You can use whatever you want. She is the weapon Descendant, so anything you put in her hands is going to work well. But with her recent buffs, they increased her damage that she gets in terms of her like multipliers with explosive weapon types, which is really, really nice. And so with her specifically, I'm going to mention the Restored Relic. This was buffed a while ago. It is one of the best mobbing weapons in the game because of how hard it hits and how big of an area it hits in. And for mobbing, specifically with Gley, we can rock increased radius and ammo optimization to hit in a massive area. And then we also build the Restored Relic for multi-hit. Now, the Restored Relic is fantastic multi-hit because it is a base of 0.75x multi-hit damage. This is one of the highest base multi-hit damages in the game. Every weapon rolls with a different multi-hit value, and that kind of indicates if they're going to be good with multi-hit or not. This is dealing 75% of your original shot's damage, basically, as a multi-hit at base, and then obviously we can get that up way higher. So multi-hit is fantastic on the Restored Relic. So for the mods, we're going to be rocking for action and reaction, rifle reinforcement, and charge amplification for a bunch of explosive attack. Then for our fire damage, we're going to be going for fire priority and fire enhancement. For our multi-shot, we're going multi-piercing sights and multi-percussion sight, and then grab fire rate so that we can shoot faster and just spam as much as possible. We don't have to worry about running out of ammo on Gley. And then for the cores, we're rocking triple fire rate cores and 2 fire attack cores. For Void Erosion Purge on the Restored Relic, the only change is you don't need all of this AoE. You want more single target damage, so you just simply replace ammo optimization with multi-bullet. Multi-bullet gives us even more stacking multi-hit damage as well as dot damage on the Restored Relic, which is already going to be dealing pretty big fire dots. The only thing is, if you do want to like fully use this for Void Erosion Purge, you do want to change for like the highest tier. You just want to change fire enhancement for chill and fire priority for chill priority to make this more of a chill weapon. Some other weapons to use on Gley are the Executor, the Last Dagger, and the Malevolent. I will have their builds and their mods and their cores all showing on screen right now. For the Reactor, for the like gun build, you're going to want something that has duration and cooldown is what I prefer. And then the external components, we're going to be rocking 2-piece Firebrand. This gives us more skill duration, which is what we care about. This set's basically just power crept the Annihilation set, which is what we've used to use. Annihilation 2-piece is 5.7 skill duration versus 2-piece Firebrand is 6.5. So Firebrand's really, really nice here. And then we're going to be using 2-piece Shield Crusher for the extra additional 5% damage increase, or sorry, 5% fire rate increase, which is really, really nice. For the Arche tuning board, this is what I rock for like the Restored Relic or non-crit weapons, because certain weapons just don't benefit from these crit increases. We can grab a bunch of like multi-hit, explosive damage, advantage affinity, more firearm attack, more firearm and explosive attack, and the Colossus nodes. If you're going to use her gun build and you're not using a crit weapon, this is the board that I recommend. It gives us a bunch of like multi-hit, a ton of multi-hit chance, extra firearm explosive attack, firearm explosive attack, firearm and explosive attack, and then we get some more HP down here. And then if you are going to be rocking a crit weapon, I would go for a board like this. Basically just grabs the firearm crit chance and crit damage, and we just lose this gold mod, but we get a bunch of extra crit and more firearm attack, which is really nice. And for her Inversion Reinforcements, I'd pick your weapon of choice module, grab some biodensity augment to get more stacking HP, and I go for Adrenaline Rush for more movement speed. Now for the skill builds, we also have some updates. The first is to our Massacre loop build. Now, this build is all about keeping Massacre up 100% of the time. So in order to do that, we need to be able to loop increase sensory. And with the Arche tuning board and some of the new components, we can do this a whole lot easier. Right now, I'm on a 6-second cooldown with 8 seconds of duration. So very, very easy to loop. And some things that we can do to make some changes from the old build. This used to be focus on dimension instead of skill simplification because we needed the extra cooldown. However, now we do not need the extra cooldown, so we can use skill simplification, which gives us a new unique source of skill power modifier that is multiplicative with dimension skill power modifier, because now we've got dimension amplification for specific dimension modifier power and skill simplification for skill power modifier. So this is just a massive damage increase to Massacre, mainly because we don't need the cooldown because of our Arche tuning board. And the other change that you can do, it kind of depends on your reactor, is use an outstanding investment. This gives us more skill duration and HP heal. This used to be maximize duration, and depending on like what your reactor is, you need cooldown or duration on your reactor to not use this. But I also used to have to use this maximize duration, which lowers our skill power modifier by an additional 21%, which is also less damage. So outstanding investment was even more damage than like using maximize duration. So some big quality of lives to the like Massacre loop build. The other build is our full damage Massacre build. The whole goal of this build is to not loop Massacre. It's to kill whatever is in front of you, aka a boss. It's what I used for that gluttony kill in the start, where we do not care about cooldowns. We could use like maximize skill and maximize power and a bunch of damage increases and like dangerous ambush for like huge burst damage. So that is what this build is. Basically use Massacre once and whatever's in front of you should be dead. This build will kill all of the normal like non-challenge bosses in about one Massacre loop. So that's really nice, or one use of Massacre. And our last build is kind of a for fun build. You will probably clear faster just using her weapon platform build with a like Restored Relic. However, using her as an ability-based like AoE caster is really fun and a very unique playstyle. This is using Explosive Life. You can have 100% uptime on this build with Explosive Life, where you can spam it as much as you possibly want. If you did not know, basically when you get life spheres, or Gley's unique resource, and there's spheres on the ground, you can detonate them with Explosive Life, creating massive explosions. But when enemies die to this, then they drop more life orbs that you can detonate. And so if you are in a room with a high mob density, you basically get chain reactions of killing enemies with exploding life orbs, that those killed enemies then drop more explosive life orbs, and then you could just kill them again and keep detonating until everything in the room is dead. The issue with the build is you do need to kill some enemies before you start chaining. So a lot of times you got to enter a room and you got to kill like 1 to 3 enemies with your pistol to get a life orb down, and then as soon as you get a life orb down, then you can start the chaining. Now, I do want to note that this build definitely suffers if you're playing in with like 3 other people. You need to be able to generate your own orbs, and if you've got bunnies and Freya's running around killing everything, you're not going to be getting any orbs, and then you're just not going to be able to use this build. So if you're playing solo, it's super fun, but not really something I'd recommend for a team. For our Massacre Weapon, you're going to be using the Python. You can use like a blue blood boomer. It's still like a really fast firing SMG. I've got the Python. And one thing to note is I did a bunch of tests where I added 3 multi-hit mods to the Python for Massacre testing, and then I took off those multi-hit mods and left them completely blank, and across 6 different tests, I got the pretty much exact same amount of damage, without like a significant margin of increase or decrease, using multi-hit mods and not using multi-hit mods. Basically, multi-hit does not affect Massacre. So even though the Python, if you want to build the Python to be the best possible, I would recommend building it for multi-hit. For Massacre specifically, you do not want to build multi-hit because it does not affect Massacre. So this is the build we're rocking on the Python. For her weapon, for explosive life, you're going to want to use a Peacemaker because it increases the damage of explosive life. And for the Massacre, as we said, we're using the Python. For her skill Reactor, I'm mainly using skill cooldown non-attribute boost ratio for anything that isn't a Colossus. And then you just want to use skill cooldown plus Colossus damage is really important for like if you're doing any bossing. And then for her external components, I've been rocking Shell Crusher for more fire rate for Massacre. And then I typically go with, you can switch it up. Firebrand is great because it gives you a little bit more duration for Massacre. 2-piece mage set is pretty nice because it gives you a +6 power. And the last one to mention is the Hunter set. If you don't have quite enough looping, you can go for Hunter set, which gives you -4% cooldown, and just pair any 2 with those with the Shell Crusher's fire rate for Massacre. Kind of depends on how much survivability you want. And then for like explosive life spamming, I just use the full mage set just because it gives her a ton of extra damage. But yeah, we go full mage set for explosive life. There's the full mage set. This gives us 84% non-attribute skill power, which is freaking nutty. This is the Arche tuning board. Obviously, like, you can make some small adjustments. For example, if you're using like explosive life, you can use range and grab this range module. I don't bother, honestly, because we're already built for max range on it anyways, and then you could just go up here. The big thing on Gley is picking up duration, skill cooldown, and then skill power. Specifically for Massacre, I do not have a mutant cell in right now, honestly, just because I am lazy and I'm saving these boxes. But the mutant cell that you will want to use on her is called Final Preparations. When attacking enemies with the Force skill, grants Final Preparations to self. This just gives you a little bit of extra skill power for your 4th ability when you're using Massacre. I don't think you really need to go like non-attribute cohesion or something like that, just mainly because you don't really need the extra damage for mobbing. I'd rather have the extra damage for bossing, and obviously this doesn't work for bossing, so that's why we use Final Preparations. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry this took so long to get out. I know there's a lot of people waiting for me to update it. I wanted to kind of make sure that I had everything right because it's been a while since I played Gley. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.